It was 1 a.m. and Riday had stayed late at the office again. The sprawling building, usually a hive of activity, was now a tomb of silence. Every footstep echoed, every rustle of paper sounded like a scream in the making. Tonight, the silence felt heavy as he finally packed his briefcase and headed for the exit. The only thing standing between him and the comfort of his home was the elevator. He pressed the down button, the small plastic square cool against his thumb. The doors slid open with a dull metallic groan that reverberated through the empty lobby. He glanced at the display panel above the doors. It read, "Up arrow 13. That was strange. This building only had 12 floors, a typo in the system. Probably shrugging it off as a glitch from a long day. Riday stepped inside. The doors slid shut with an unnerving finality, sealing him in the small metal box. But instead of going down, the elevator began to rise. The floor numbers lit up one by 1, 8, 9, 10. The ascent was smooth, silent, almost dreamlike. 11, 12. A soft ping announced its arrival. He waited for the doors to open, but they remained shut. Then the display above him flickered. The number 12 vanished, replaced by a stark, glowing 13F. With a slow, deliberate creak, the doors slid open. Riday's breath hitched in his throat. Before him stretched a hallway he had never seen before. It was long, impossibly long, and shrouded in an unnatural darkness that seemed to swallow the light from the elevator. The air was thick with the foul, sweet smell of rot and decay. The walls, once probably a neutral office beige, were now peeling and stained. Torn scraps of paper were stuck to them, plastered haphazardly. As his eyes adjusted, he could make out words scrawled on each one, over and over, in a frantic, jagged script. "Don't look, don't look, don't look." A cold dread washed over him. This wasn't a glitch. This was something else. Something wrong. He instinctively took a step back, his hand fumbling for the control panel. He had to get out of there. But just as his fingers brushed against the door close button, a movement at the far end of the hallway caught his eye. He looked. He shouldn't have, but he did. From the deepest shadows, a hand emerged. It was twisted and unnaturally long, its fingers bent at impossible angles. It wasn't attached to an arm. It was just a hand crawling across the filthy floor like a grotesque spider, scuttling towards him with a dry, scraping sound. Then a face materialized from the darkness behind it. It was wide, distorted, its features stretched and pulled into a permanent, silent scream. Two hollow black sockets that served as eyes stared directly into his soul. The hand scraped closer, faster. The sound was nails on a chalkboard. Bone on concrete. Panic seized Riday. He slammed his palm repeatedly on the close button, his heart hammering against his ribs. The doors began to slide shut, the gap shrinking, the horrifying visage being cut off from view. But just before they sealed completely, a whisper slithered through the closing gap, a sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement. But you already looked. The elevator didn't just descend, it plummeted. It dropped with such stomach-lurching speed that Riday was lifted off his feet for a second. With a violent jolt, it slammed to a stop in the main lobby. The doors flew open. He didn't wait. He scrambled out, briefcase forgotten, and ran. He burst through the main entrance into the cool night air, not daring to look back. He ran until his lungs burned and did unstop until he was fumbling with the keys to his own front door. Safe inside his apartment, he leaned against the door, gasping for air, trying to convince himself it was a hallucination, a waking nightmare brought on by stress and exhaustion. But as he stood there in the dark, a familiar sound echoed from his bedroom down the hall. Ping, the sound of an elevator arriving. His blood ran cold. He stared, frozen, at the thin line of light under his bedroom door. And then he saw it. Slowly, deliberately, a long, twisted finger slid into the gap, followed by another and another. A pale, crawling hand was slowly pulling itself into his room. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more chills.